Hi, welcome back to Salesforce Live. I'm Steve Gillmor, and I'm here with my colleague, John Taschek, and our special guest is Rebecca Wettermann she's a vice president at Nuceleus, a respected analyst house, and you are acknowledges an authority in the area that we're going to be talking about, which is basically service, the customer experience, the kinds of things that hopefully you're going to agree that we are moving aggressively ahead. So, having said everything that you could possibly say, do you have anything to add to that?
Sure, Steve. Thanks for having me out today. It's great to see you guys. I think one of the things that we see with the customer experience is it's changing all the time. So the cloud is the perfect environment to handle the customer service experience. We've beaten to death the word multi-channel and omni-channel, but there are constantly going to be ways that customers need to evolve the way they deal with customer service. And the cloud is iterative. It enables business users to make those changes. They can be empowered to service their customers better. So the cloud is really the ideal environment.
Well, what are the changes you like? I think a lot of people think of customer service as you call a number and you punch a number in a phone and it forgets your location or persistence or whatever. You get passed to another number, you re-enter the information, and it's just like a bad experience. Are those days gone, or are they going away? Or
We still have a lot left to do. Our research suggests that only 20% of companies have real integration between customer service, marketing, and support and sales today. There's a lot of work of integration to be done, but a lot of tactical work too, and enable people to get together, collaborate as teams, and help solve customer service problems when they happen.
What were the reasons for that? To me, it seems like companies built silos because they just built stacks, and then they had to hard code some integrations later. I mean, have we evolved rapidly past that now? Or you're saying 20%, but was it 10% last year? I mean, is it?
We're seeing more and more, and certainly the cloud lends itself to that. We see as companies move from the old on-premise contact center tools to more cloud solutions, they can be a lot more iterative, they can be a lot less disruptive for their customer service representatives, and really enable the cloud for business users.
Yeah, and the cloud to us it has to be multi-tenancy as the core of it. This is the way we think about it. It can't be done. You can't have the sharing behind it, because you can certainly build cloud stacks that aren't integrated, right?
Right.
Yeah, have you seen that happen?
Absolutely, but I think one of the big things that we see from the financial focus looking at the cloud is that the return on investment from cloud is 1.7 times the return from traditional on-premise applications. And that's not just because it's cheap up front. It's because on an ongoing basis, customers get more benefit. So they add a new workflow, they add additional users, they create a new experience for customers, they can develop a site or a specific experience for customers, so they get incremental benefit over time.
So what are the factors that add into the cost itself in building a customer service or any operation? You mentioned a few, but what are some of the things that are, there's hardware, there's a software license, there's maintenance.
Sure, and one of the things we see with the cloud as well, John, is the personnel and consulting costs, because I can put business users in charge, and I don't have a big upfront consulting cost associated with a project. I can deliver a lot more value more quickly and be more iterative over time. One of the things that we see often in customer service and support is you don't know what challenges you have until you actually start putting together the workflows to face them. So being able to make changes once you do that initial rollout, that initial pilot, becomes very important.
Yeah, and I want Steve's opinion on this too, is if you combining your marketing operation, first before we get there,
yeah.
What's the difference between TCO and ROI?
TCO is just the cost. So total cost of ownership, we look at on an initial ongoing basis, software, hardware, consulting, personnel, and training. That's the TCO part. TCO is really the I of ROI. It's the returns over time that get interesting with the cloud, and that's where we see, compared to on-premise where any upgrade I make, I have to do an increase in the TCO in terms of support, in terms of personnel, in terms of consulting.
So it reduces the ROI.
Exactly.
And they're getting greater benefits at the same time. So my question that I started off with was, when you're combining marketing, your brand, and you're having more highly engaged people, customers, the individuals, does that have an impact on customer service?
Certainly, and we've seen in looking at some of the work that the Radiant 6 folks have been doing, and certainly some of the acquisitions that Salesforce has made, that there are a lot of pieces of the puzzle that are still coming together, and most companies are just starting to think about how they bring together both the brand presence and that one-on-one interaction with customers.
Do you see customers having different expectations in the advent of the social revolution?
Absolutely, and certainly B2C and B2B have different expectations, but I think one of the things we see customers saying is this is anyone's game in terms of who will manage the customer experience. Most companies today have not settled on a platform, a technology, and a complete stack moving forward. There's still a lot of expectation that they're going to be innovators in this industry that really drive things forward.
And from a customer's point of view, as customer service theoretically gets better, do their expectations get higher? And then how do the vendors, handle this challenge of being better, delivering better expectations?
Well, I think one of the things is striking the balance between empowering those business users to be able to make changes on their own and service customers in the way that they think is most appropriate, but also be able to pull in the subject matter experts and be able to collaborate more tactically as well, which is why we see Chatterbox being so very interesting for the area.
So you've been here for the last few years, correct?
A few years, yeah.
Do you sense an evolution here, not just in what we're doing as a company, but also in terms of the business partners, the kinds of conversations that are happening in the B2B space?
Well, certainly we thought the Dell announcement was really interesting. That's a great way for Dell to take advantage of what they got with Boomi, but certainly a good B2C play there as well. I think what we've seen is you grow and certainly have some strong partners that have embraced the cloud model, and others that are moving more quickly toward that as they recognize that that's really where customers want to look for in the future.
John?
I think, I'd like to ask like an anecdote. Do you have what's a good customer experience story that you have? I mean, you're doing a lot of the measurements. I mean, what are some of the experiences that you have, and how are they changing over time?
Well, I think one of the things that we're really seeing is the need for immediacy in being able to respond. So enabling an individual person to be able to take action on a request for customer becomes all the more important.
Empowering the agents, I guess, and making it so it's not just the agents, but the whole company can act on behalf of the customer.
Right, and the customer can interact with the company however they choose to at whatever time.
Right, and on whatever device. So mobile has a unique proposition here. Are you seeing advancements in mobile and how people are engaging in mobile? I see it. I do it all the time myself. I mean, just liking something on Facebook is an engagement, for example, or engaging on an application that's created on Facebook, or even an ad campaign or something. It's an engagement, and it affects your brand, but it's also kind of related to customer service very directly.
Well, I mean, we saw with sales being the first step around social and productivity, but there's a whole other step there with marketing and with customer engagement as well that most companies are just starting to embark on today.
Yeah. So that's great. And so the ROI, again, is 1.7. Have you parsed it into different categories, like customer service, or is this just a...
That was a broad study based on all of the cloud and on-premise ROI audits we've done over the past year or so. So it's a good, healthy mix of projects.
A mix of small, medium, large companies?
Yes.
Or? That's fantastic.
All right, I have to cut this one short as a result of time fleeing us. I want to thank Rebecca Wettermann for joining us from Nuceleus, and my colleague John Taschek as well. This is Steve Gillmor, and more of Salesforce Live.